not simply cannabis, it was and still is a deadly chemical cocktail. Lab tests revealed that this synthetic opioid is up to 100% times stronger than fentanyl, tranquilizers, and even embalming fluids have been used. This was not recreational drug use. This was a deliberate poisoning of our youth. Once we discovered that this product was not created here in Sierra Leone. Data has shown that all the chemicals are imported into this country. This was not just a public health emergency. This was and remains a national crisis of identity, of hope, and of future. I could not and would not stand by why chemicals imported into this country consume the lives of our youth, who make up over 70% of Sierra Leone population. Faced with this crisis, we did not wait. We acted. Under the leadership of the Honorable Vice President and the coordination of Professor Freetown, we launched the National Task Force on Drug and Substance Abuse to implement a multi-sectoral approach to combat this crisis. Although Professor Sir will shortly provide us with a comprehensive overview of the progress made, let me share some key highlights of what have been accomplished so far. In terms of treatment and expansion, we have increased treatment beds from 50 in Freetown to 312 beds nationwide, a staggering increase of 524%. Health workforce, 1,247 frontline workers, including nurses, CHOs, social workers, and peer counselors, have all been trained in addition to care and mental health. Community engagement. The task force has reached over 1,186 communities, distributed 10,000 information, education, and communication materials, and trained over 1,000 youth and women leaders as champions. Reintegration support. 198 young people reintegrated into schools, vocational training, or small businesses. Law enforcement. Over 3,800 arrests have been made. Drug warehouses dismantled and key supply routes disrupted, especially in the western area. As president, let me be very clear that despite the progress made and our actions, the fight against Kush could drug testing capacities remain limited, and the stigma persists. Too many still see victims as criminals instead of patients. This is why I say Kush is not just a drug, it is a national test. As we heighten the fight against Kush, we must also recognize the huge importance to build strategic partnerships and increase collaboration with our neighbors and development partners who are here. Character testing has linked 𝐘𝐢𝐠𝐡 to international synthetic drug market in Asia and in Europe to operate as exporters of 𝐘𝐢𝐠. In West Africa, 𝐘𝐢𝐠 has expanded into retail drug markets across multiple countries, posing an increasing threat. This is no longer a local health issue. The chemicals are imported. The money moves across borders. The networks are transnational. As we confront this the growing challenges in the fight against 𝐘𝐢𝐠, it is essential that we critically examine how effective our current fight strategies are being and seek ways to strengthen them. More than 1 year since the creation of the task force, each of us carry the weight of facing these difficulties, yet vital questions, because only so our shared commitment can we hope to turn the tide on 𝐘𝐢𝐠. First, regarding prevention, what more can we do to raise awareness, promote healthy alternatives and retire drug use among our youth? Second, concerning care and treatment, how can we expand access to care, treatment, and rehabilitation to effectively meet demand? Third, with respect to social support, we need to scale up our counseling, skills training, and reintegration programs to support individuals in recovery. And there are gaps remaining that we must urgently address. Fourth, in terms of law enforcement, what additional measures are required to boost investigation, arrest, and fast-track prosecution to disrupt the drug supply chain? And finally, in community engagement, what more can we do to revitalize our methods of engagement that address local needs and create sustainable impact? These questions must guide our reflection today as we renew our commitment to overcoming this fight. With these opening remarks, I look forward to constructive deliberations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We want to thank you for those opening remarks, and I believe that those remarks have set the stage for the high-level meeting. And on that note, I want to give the opportunity now to the coordinator of the National Task Force to give us an overview of the progress and presentation of the report. National Coordinator, Professor Sam Habiflo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President. His Excellency President, Honorable Vice President, all protocols to be observed. Giving a brief account of what we have done since the establishment of the task force. Please be all know it's not my water. It is against the cocktail, as all highlighted by His Excellency. We involve the national licensing, which is recognized in Freetown, other potent than fentanyl, tramadol, and other unknown substances. It is lethal, it is cheap, and it's spreading very fast. This is not a Senegal problem. It is a West African problem. It is an African problem. Currently, West Africa is considered as the hotspot for synthetic opiates. The graphs that you see, these are just seizures of contrabands across the West African sub-region. You can see Sierra Leone is way down for seizures of by country. Benin, Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia, Senegal are all ahead of Sierra Leone. And for Leone also same, Sierra Leone is way down, Liberia top
studies. We have Benin and we have 𝐇𝐢𝐠𝐡 and other countries. Where are we? There has been significant rise in admissions, as all highlighted as the President, from 2020 to 2023. We had 222 admissions at the psychiatric hospital in 2020, and by 2023, that number has increased to about 2,955. Notably, there was a 3,868% surge in 𝐶𝐘 use that was recorded at the 𝐶𝐬 Psychiatric Hospital. Hence, His Excellency the President declared 𝐶𝐘 as a national emergency and a security threat in April 2024. When the task force was formed, it was meant to address an urgent need of an epidemic. 5 pillars were clearly established, and that was the organic one that we were working on. The task force reporting to His Excellency through the Honorable Vice President, and we had strategic pillars. Indeed, our approach was a whole of government model. That is, all MDs involved, as you can see from the slide. There was a national structure, and we established district structures, and that those district structures were replicated at community level. These are the strategic focus when we were established. The first one was to raise awareness and promote healthy operatives. The goal set by His Excellency the President at that time was to reduce youth drug abuse by 80% within the first 2 years. Another goal set was to train 100 community leaders in drug and substance abuse within 6 months. That was realized. The next goal that was given us was to achieve a 70% increase in conviction of 𝐶𝐘-related offenses within the first 1 year. We are also tasked, that was a little ambitious, to establish one rehab center in each of the districts, because it was an expensive exercise, but we came together as a task force and then recalibrated that why can't we start at regional level and then can cascade to district level. So that is what we have done. And then we are also tasked to provide 90% support to individuals who were to return to work or to education. These are the strategic pillars. Prevention and community engagement. Their main strategy is risk communication and community engagement, is to encourage public awareness campaigns and to educate the public on drug abuse, especially 𝐶𝐘. And the lead for the prevention pillar is the Ministry of Information and Civic Education, the co-lead Ministry of Health and 𝐁𝐻 and other organizations that are part of it. Community engagement is held by Ministry of Local Government, and the co-lead is Ministry of Youth and 𝐁𝐻 and other organizations. Then treatment and care is to provide medical care for substance abuse victims. Ministry of Health leads that pillar, and then we have co-pillars, Pharmacy Board, National Public Health, and our development partners. Social support held by Ministry of Social Welfare, Ministry of Youth is co-leading that pillar, and Ministry of Labour and other organizations, development partners, and law enforcement. Law enforcement is to disrupt the illicit drug supply chain with investigations, arrests, and prosecutions. NDLEA leads that pillar, and then the other members of the pillar, Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Defense, OMS, and other development partners. Additional pillars that can be established, and we did establish them, was to cross-cutting strategy, surveillance, and using the 117 to call, and 𝐁𝐻, Ministry of Health, Social Welfare, our universities inclusive, and safe and dignified burial. That is a cross-cutting strategy, and to ensure safe and dignified burial, Ministry of Health was leading Ministry of Internal Affairs, Freetown City Council, and development partners.
Fortunately, I think there was a meeting yesterday, Minister of Local Government, Minister of Health, and Minister of Internal Affairs. So this slide might be redundant. I think they came up with something that supersedes what we propose, what we are proposing. Now we take pillar by pillar. The treatment and care pillar, as I said, led by the Minister of Health. The total number of cases seen by the at the 𝐇𝐢𝐠𝐡-𝐋𝐞𝐬 Hospital or by the team from the establishment of the task force is 6,839, and of those 2,324 𝐄𝐬𝐠 victims are admitted at psychiatric hospital, and then the treatment pillar was able to train 1,247 health workers to assist in that venture, and a lot of clinical protocols were developed. Rehabilitation and integration pillar, held by Minister of Social Welfare. Minister of Social Welfare has effectively established 3 rehab centers for Hastings, which has actually graduated about 5 cohorts of victims. One also established in 𝐇𝐢𝐠𝐡, we have graduated 1 cohort, and then 1 cohort has now been inserted at 𝐷𝐢𝐠𝐡, and Makeni is on the way. We send resources to Makeni back and forth, but we have now found a way to make sure that we circumvent those obstacles that we are facing in establishing the outfit in Makeni. And then provided psychosocial support for over 4,000 former drug victims at the one-stop center established by the Ministry of Social Welfare. And over 1,000 youth leaders have been integrated as peer educators in youth clubs, and the rehabilitation of over 400 victims in government of Sierra Leone established rehab centers that has been established. Prevention and awareness pillar, led by Minister of Information and Civic Education and Minister of Health. They have produced and disseminated jingles in 6 local languages. They have produced over 10,000 IEC materials with animated videos, and these have been developed and shared widely within the social media. Television and radio talks have been held on drug-related issues with experts, community leaders, and survivors, and the engagement of journalists and bloggers and CSO representatives. Community engagement pillar. This is led by the Ministry of Local Government. That pillar held regional stakeholder campaigns involving paramount chiefs and community leaders, and then over 1,000 community champions have been trained involving youth groups, women leaders, to lead local prevention and rehabilitation efforts. The community-led approach was used, and this has been rolled in 20 hotspot communities across the Western area. And prevention and awareness campaigns launched in 50 schools and 3 public universities, and the sensitization session has reached over 25,000 pupils and students. Community engagement, over 1,000 champions have been trained, 42 local advisory groups formed, and then 30 dialogues held across the country. Law enforcement has conducted over 170 raids, and within the last 5 days, the law enforcement pillar has conducted raids in about 29 hotspots across Western area, and over 50 arrests made during this time, and then the destruction of impounded narcotics have been done at Toku. These are some of the areas that they were engaged during the past 5 days. And this is going to be a sustained effort for the next 2 weeks. Call to action. What do we want to? We are asking for a sustained investment to the response efforts. We are asking for a revision and enforcement of existing laws. The law enforcement will have to identify and disrupt the supply chain, because it's like it's like if you are mopping the floor and there's a tap upstream. If you don't close the tap, you continue mopping for the rest of your life. So if the supply chain is cut, then we'll succeed in the other pillars. We want to establish additional rehab centers, and the ministries to consider reallocating resources, manpower, and programming to effectively support the task force, and to intensify school, university, and community outreach programs, and treatment and care to commence outreach programs, because there's over 4,000 people who are actually reached. So we are thinking of establishing outreach programs for that pillar. In conclusion, we need everyone on board, government, the community, and partners, to collaboratively tackle the 𝐇𝐢𝐠 crisis. Your continued commitment and flexible strategies are essential to achieve and maintain our long-term goals. We are prioritizing and supporting community-led initiatives as they are fundamental to driving sustainable change. We need your feedback on our proposed approach. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sir. Your Excellency, you've heard and seen the presentation. It captures the progress that have been made so far, and also gives a vivid picture of the various interventions from law enforcement, compliance, treatment, and reintegration. The report also captured where we are, the facilities that have been established, and the additional facilities that are in the pipeline. On that note, Professor, can you please hand over the report to His Excellency? Can you please move forward and hand over the report to His Excellency, please? Thank you very much. Your Excellency, as you can glean from the presentation, you realize that the critical arm of government, which is vital, if not, I would say, the backbone of the fight against 𝐇𝐢𝐠, which is the criminal justice arm, was not overwhelmingly captured. So as a result, we want to give opportunity to key institutions within that chain, and also the House of Parliament, that is also critical. You must have heard about the call for action that was clearly highlighted in the report. What additional support that the task force need, what additional directives that the task force is looking up to. So on that note, I will give 4 key institutions 5 minutes each to just make a very short intervention. I will start with the Inspector General of Police, who will just talk on breaking the supply chain. Inspector General, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Vice President. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. As part of the law enforcement team, we have made some contributions in the efforts to fight 𝐇𝐢𝐠. In the first place, we are conducting sustained raids at all levels. When I say at all levels, it involves divisional level and even at the regional level. And during these raids, we are making quite a number of arrests. These arrests we are investigating and charging to court. Secondly, sir, we have a lot of activity at the quay and at the airport and at the border crossing points. So in all of these 3 positions, we intercept, we seize, we search for drugs and other precursor chemicals which are used to make synthetic drugs. And this one has led us to actually reach out to internal conspirators. These are people who are working within the cargo supply chain, and these ones facilitate the distribution of these drugs in this country. For example, most times at the quay, when we intercept containers, we search, we have people who come forward to actually to clear these containers. These are clearing and forwarding agencies. But these ones, most times when we investigate them, they are not able because we don't have the provisions in the law to capture them. And then thirdly, we do investigations. When we arrest, we investigate and charge to court. To facilitate the investigation, what we have done is we used to have only 1 forensic analyst, but recently we have trained 6 of them. They are deployed in all regions in the country, and we have introduced the UNODC field test kit, which is simply chemical reagents which indicate the presence of an illegal substance by simple color changes. So now the issue of having to take long time to have suspects in custody before they can be charged to court has been eliminated. So we're also collaborating with other actors in the field. We do community engagements, we sensitize schools, we go out in the communities to tell them about the dangers of drugs, and we tell parents to also pay attention to their children for them to stay out of drugs. And so what is expected also when we arrest and charge to court is to disrupt the financial flow. This is disturbed when we seize assets and funds associated with drug trade, so that helps us to collapse the economic foundation of the drug trade. So Your Excellency, Honorable Vice President, as part of the law enforcement pillar, these are activities we do on a daily basis. They are sustained and not a one-off activity. So on this note, I want to end my presentation in this way and make a commitment that we as the SLP will continue to sustain our operations in this fight against Kush. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Inspector General of Police. Now I will give the Attorney General and Minister of Justice the floor to begin his statement. Thank you, Honorable Vice President, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to make brief remarks here. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in response to the escalating crisis posed by the proliferation of synthetic drugs, particularly the substance known as Kush, the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice joins His Excellency, who is leading on this, to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the rule of law and the protection of public health and safety through robust prosecutions. Your Excellency, sir, the Director of Public Prosecutions under the directives of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has now assumed a central role in leading the prosecution of all drug-related offences, including those involving Kush. This strategy shifts from police-led prosecutions to state council-led prosecutions. This was necessary. This was necessitated by the wide concerns over procedural shortcomings in the handling and prosecution of drug cases at the magistrate court. Your Excellency, we in the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice have identified 5 strategic pillars to inform the response of the office. One is centralized prosecution oversight. All Kush-related cases are now under the direct purview of state prosecutors across the country. This is done to ensure consistency, legal rigors, data collection, and accountability in the prosecution process. Through the swift and fair trials, we will strengthen systems to expedite the judicial process for drug offences, ensuring that justice is swift and fair. And 3, continuous collaboration with law enforcement and other agencies will strengthen coordination with the Sierra Police and the National Drug Enforcement Agency to ensure that prosecutions are informed by quality investigations, accurate forensic evidence that align with prosecutorial needs, and execution of court orders. And 4, capacity building. We're investing in capacity building for prosecutors. We're doing this both in-house, and then of course also sending prosecutors abroad for professional training, so that we can have expertise in clandestine laboratory and forensic examination processes to ensure that we strengthen prosecutions. And then 5, we support pushing for legislation reform. We actively engage in reviewing and recommending updates to existing drug laws to reflect the evolving nature of synthetic drug threats and strengthen prosecutorial tools in the country. And Your Excellency, we acknowledge that we need to do better. We know that we have had to deal with several challenges, including limited resources, case backlogs, threats to witnesses, and evolving criminal tactics. But we're in discussions on how to respond to these challenges. We want to join you and others to say that prosecution alone cannot prevent the importation, the manufacturing, and transportation of Kush and other dangerous drugs. But we all need to work together, coordinate our efforts, and ensure that we bring this crisis under control. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I want to thank you for that intervention. I will now give the floor to the Chief Justice for his statement.
Thank you very much, Vice President. Your Excellency, the President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. As an arm of the state, primarily responsible to interpret and enforce the law with a view to making sure that there is peace, stability, good governance, and the rule of law, the judiciary is committed in making sure that we fight this menace. I shall not bore you with the functions of the judiciary, but rather to state the steps we have already taken in our bid to combat this scourge. We have appointed specific number of judges and magistrates throughout the country to expeditiously deal with drugs and drugs-related matters, while plans are at an advanced stage to establish a special court for drugs and drugs-related matters. I have directed judges and magistrates to extend court sittings to include Saturdays. While a comprehensive practice direction will be issued soonest, I have issued the following directives to all judges and magistrates dealing with drugs and drugs-related matters. 1. No bail shall be granted to defendants charged with drugs and drugs-related matters. 2. No long adjournments shall be entertained when dealing with drugs and drugs-related matters. High sentencing regime will be enforced for those found guilty, particularly for manufacturing, transporting, and the like. During the process, only very few during the trial process. Now, only few samples will be kept, while an order will be made for the immediate disposal of any stockpile in the presence of all the relevant key holders, key players, after it may have been tested to determine the quality and quantity. More stringent monitoring mechanisms have been established to include the Chief Justice and 4 senior judges in the Masters and Registrar to monitor the proceedings as regard all the drug matters presently in our court. There has been a clear line of communication between the Attorney General, the Director of Public Prosecution, and the leadership of the judiciary to address the bottlenecks and challenges in dealing with drugs and drugs-related matters. Your Excellency and all stakeholders present, I shall not bore you with all the steps we have taken with a view to making sure that we bring this menace to an end. Rather, I shall give assurances that the judiciary is ready, able, and willing to play its own role to enforce the laws to the latter in our collective efforts to obliterate this scourge. I thank you very much.
Thank you all, Chief Justice. I will now give the floor to the Deputy Speaker of Parliament to make his statement.
Thank you very much, Vice President. Your Excellency, the President, I seek your permission to continue the existing protocol. As Parliament, it is clear that our principal responsibility, accompanied by my 2 leaders, the leader of the opposition and the leader of government business, is to make law. In Section 73, we are the supreme law-making bodies of Sierra Leone, and in Section 105, we are responsible to make law for the peace, stability, and good governance of Sierra Leone. It is our utmost responsibility to support the government of the Republic of Sierra Leone under His Excellency's direction, and we have done that severally. In 2008, Parliament enacted the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act that set up the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. In 2024, during the passage of the state of emergency, the declaration of the state of emergency pursuant to Section 29(5), His Excellency requested us to support the fight against this scourge, and we did. We displayed pictures, evidence of how 𝐇𝐢𝐠 is affecting our nation. 𝐇𝐢𝐠 is seen by Parliament as not only an attack on
the development of Sierra Leone, but it's also seen as an attack to the human capital of this country. So as Parliament, we shall be dedicating a day for a motion to be moved by the leader of government business, seconded by the leader of opposition, while members of Parliament would engage in a debate, sensitization to the public. We shall also embark on getting our members of Parliament to go to their various districts to engage the community and to be involved in the community pillar, so that we can sensitize our people, because we represent them and we see it as our primary responsibility. In terms of the review of the NDLA Act, we are ready when once an amendment, a repeal or a replacement is brought to us. We are ready to amend the first, second, and third schedule of the Act so as to list some of the concoction that they use for the production of kush, whether they can be listed as banned substances, high substances, or controlled substances that can only be imported by a specific group of people. So, Your Excellency, it is our utmost responsibility as Parliament to support this government and to support our people, because what is happening is undermining the very development that Your Excellency strives to bring to our country, and we see it as an affront to us as a country, and are ready to support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Your Excellency, you've had the presentation and the intervention of the criminal justice arm, including the demonstration of the readiness of the House of Parliament to support law reforms in the event that is on cause. Your Excellency, we want to end the interventions with a testimonial that will be given by Mr. Michael Tambakumba. Mr. Michael Tambakumba was a victim, a kush victim, and today he is a champion in his community and in the western area to fight against. So we want to give him that opportunity to tell the stories, and then before we come to your closing remarks, Mr. Kumba, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, and thank you again, His Excellency. Thank you, distinguished guest. My name is Michael Tambakumba, a recovering addict from all these type of drugs in Sierra Leone, the kush, tramadol, ecstasy, and flex. I started taking kush 2016. By that time, it was called Colorado. We normally bought that one 145, 150 on a sachet. I've been part of the Republic of Ardslab football team, played for them for 3 seasons. Then I ended up signing a contract in Liberia after some disappointment, depression. Then returned back to Sierra Leone and involved into this drug. I've been into drug for more than 5 years, but thank God for today, I'm 1 year, 2 months clean. So I normally use my testimony, going out, explain to my fellow youths, my brothers and sisters, that it's possible and recovery is possible as well. They can use my testimony to overcome drug abuse. And again, I want to say a big thanks to the director of NDLA, Mr. Samuel Duba. He has been like a father to me, because anytime I have a difficult situation, if I try to collect a boy from the slum with saw, he will be the father for me to take the boy to hospital. And I've started my charity foundation, which is 𝐇𝐢𝐠-𝐡. It's a way of expressing and sharing my testimony for them to know that there is a chance and there is a way, and you can live a better life without being involved into drug. I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Tambakumba. Your Excellency, you have had the presentation and the report, the progress report has been handed over to you. We have also had your call on what we can do better. The various interventions so far, starting from the report, has given us a stock taking of how far we have come, and then the necessary call for action. We have had from the law enforcement the steps that have been taken to disrupt supply route and the ongoing work. We have also heard from the Attorney General and Minister of Justice the ongoing work that is taking place within that ministry to support the fight against push. The Chief Justice, the Honorable Chief Justice, have given us some concrete steps taken by the judiciary to fast-track drug-related cases. And we also heard from the Deputy Speaker of Parliament demonstrating the readiness of Parliament to work with stakeholders and various institutions to fast-track legal reforms. And we have ended that with a testimony from our brother Michael Tabakumba, how far he has come with his own personal fight against push, and then his community-led actions. Your Excellency, at this stage, from the various interventions and report, we realize that there is a need to overcome the challenges with regard to persecution. We have also had the need to address the issue of dedicated funding and also the challenges resulting from cross-border control. We've seen the progress that have been made at entry points, but cross-border trade and porous borders continue to pose a serious challenge. Your Excellency, I want to assure you that with your support and additional directives, we will win this fight. Given all the presentations and the intervention, Your Excellency, I now ask you to deliver your closing remarks. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you, the Honorable Vice President. As we draw this critical high-level engagement to close, I've listened to the presentations and the interventions, and they show that we are confronted with a very profound urgency. The efforts we have made so far and the challenges should deepen our resolve against the scourge of push and all forms of drug and substance abuse. In light of your valuable contributions and the urgent need to strengthen and accelerate our response, I therefore announce today the following decisive measures. First, a special fund dedicated solely to supporting the 5 pillars of our fight against Kush shall be established. This fund will ensure that our strategies from prevention, care and treatment, social support, law enforcement to community engagement are backed by sustained flow of resources to fight against Kush. Second, to bring swift justice to those who exploit and destroy lives through drug and substance abuse. A special court shall be created. This court special security unit drawing from personnel from both the Operation Support Division of the Sierra Leone Police and the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. They shall intensify full-scale raids targeting drug peddling hotspots within our communities and effecting on-the-spot arrest. Fourth, it is hereby recommended that a new practice direction shall be developed seizures aimed at dismantling the networks that profit from this disastrous scourge. But beyond measures, we Sierra Leoneans have a fight on our hand. And this is a fight that requires heart and unity from every citizen and every sector. It demands parents recognizing the warning signs and acting swiftly. Teachers watch attentively over our students. Communities protect one another vigilantly. Religious leaders promote messages of healing, not stigma. Businesses extend opportunities through internship and jobs for those in recovery. Development partners deepen their support. The judiciary holds traffickers and dealers accountable. Parliament enacts stronger punishments, and every Sierra Leonean declaring family, not in our country, not in our communities, not in our homes, and not on our streets. This for the language we all 𝐇𝐢𝐠𝐡-𝐋𝐞𝐬. For say, this not a blame game. This not a direct threat to national security, and it targets beyond future. We picking them. We don't say na them. We be trained and men for let them take care of we and the future of this country. So I will invite every Sierra Leonean, in addition to the support we get from the police, the soldiers, the health workers, Ministry of Social Welfare, and also the social workers for now we all join and infect this fight. If we not fight this fight, it will make this country never go before. And let me say this at this juncture: any public official, whether at the police, airport, seaport, or border, found colluding with traffickers will face the full force of the law, and there shall be no sacred cows. Let this be our rallying call. Together we can overcome. Together we can combat the scourge of Kush. Together we will build a healthier, safer, and brighter Sierra Leone for all of us. I urge each one of you to carry this commitment beyond these words, to act, to speak out, to protect and to preserve. The time is now. Our future depends on it. And to the families and friends mourning the loss of loved ones to Kush, we share their profound grief and sorrow. As a government, we stand in solidarity with you. And for those loved ones who are affected by Kush, we hear your concern and anxieties. Through the strength of our pillars, as you've heard, we are committed to ensuring that care, treatment, and social support are accessible to all who need them. May our collective efforts bring hope, comfort, and restoration to every affected family and community. I count on all of you to work concertedly to implement with immediate effect all the new measures that I have just highlighted. I thank you all for your attention.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the team and the guests at this high-level meeting, I want to thank you very much. Your Excellency, we are optimistic that these new directives capture today some of the key challenges that we have had across the various presentations and interventions. The directives to establish a special fund to scale up so that there is a sustained flow of resources is key. The swift justice measures, particularly the creation of a special court, and also the establishment of a special security unit to intensify the scale. His Excellency, finally, I must say, the new call for continued community engagement and community action is key. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have heard His Excellency, we have sensed his passion, we have seen and heard the additional directive moving forward with regards to funding, law enforcement, prosecution, and more importantly, its call for community and national responsibility. Your Excellency, on behalf of the High Table and all the guests and those institutions that have made presentation, I want to assure you that with these additional directives, you have given a new arm and renewed vigor and life to the National Task Force. We will work with the respective stakeholders to ensure that we follow through on this new directive, and we are optimistic that this is going to signal, like I said before, a new beginning in the fight against Kush. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on that promising note, I want to hand you over to the Press Secretary as we have come to the close of His Excellency's remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Vice President. Please rise for the departure of His Excellency the President. National anthem, please.